OGP is revolutionary because for the first time, government is going to the table, not just with a token representation of civil society, but equal representation for both civil society and government. That is revolutionary.
OGP comes with a framework which is partnership between government and civil society, and that partnership is described as equal partnership. So there's no senior partner or junior partner.
Open government partnership, as it's said, it means transparency and accountability in government. It means that government, particularly the government of Nigeria, is ready to open up whatever sector we're working in. It means that the government of Nigeria is ready to work with citizens. It means that Nigerian government is also accountable to the people of Nigeria.
The open government partnership sets out to achieve basically 3 things: openness in the conduct of government business, transparency in the conduct of government business, integrity and honesty in the conduct of business.
One thing OGP does, which is also peculiar and different, is asking you, what are you doing to make it better? You can just, the era of just crossing your leg and crossing your arms and sitting in a ship that is being navigated without you knowing what you're supposed to contribute to take that ship to the destination is slowly vanishing. So what are you doing to change the situation in your society? Is it every day a government have to come to a place? Yes. But what happened if the government didn't come? Are you supposed to sit down and linger in difficulty?
The end of everything we're doing is sustainable development. So when you have it, it's just like the Solomonian wisdom. When you have it, every other thing is added onto you. OGP is what you have, like the wisdom of Solomon. Every other thing will be added onto you. Good governance is added, prosperity is added, sustainable development is added. Economic prosperity is added. And I tell you something, there is nothing that actually, emboldens one than that I have a say in who and how I'm governed.
Government is not helping the citizens. They owe it a duty. That's why we call them duty bearers. Okay, election, they'll say, okay, vote for me, I'll do this for you. It's a contract. If I sign a contract with you, I'm not happy, you're not happy, we are executing a contract. So when you want to help me, in quote, you need to come and consult me. What kind of help do I want? Because if I'm in community A and I needed pipe-borne water, and you bring me a road, I won't bother about what's happening there because that's not my priority. But if you have asked me, you say, what do I want? I say, I need water. You say, okay, I'm going to give you water. From day one, I'll be asking you, where is the water now? You promised me water. Where is it? From there, you know, okay, this is the contractor. Excellent. So now go to knocking on the contractor's door every month. Okay, you are supposed to give us water. How far?
The green, white, green smoke, the colors of Nigeria.
May 29th, 1999. Joy and jubilation fill the air as every man, woman, and child all over Nigeria burst forth in joyous celebration to mark a significant milestone in our history as a nation. The beginning of a new epoch that promises peace, prosperity, and equity for all. That day marked the return of a democratically elected government after many years of military rule and dictatorship. A realization of the pragmatic government of the people, by the people, and for the people, birthing an era of hope for all Nigeria. This inauguration of a democratically elected government gave Nigerians the hope that governance would now become open, transparent, and accessible, with all Nigerians being carried along in every aspect of government activities and processes, especially in budgeting and expenditure. But 20 years down the line, one begs the questions: how transparent have our successive governments been? And how much do people know about government activities and processes? How open is government?
Nigerian budget, I don't know much about it. All I know is that I used to hear it on TV, that budget has been done or budget has been, but nothing more than that. I don't know anything concerning Nigerian budget, honestly. In fact, there's nothing in Nigeria that's happened that would say it's open. There's nothing open because they don't tell us. We don't know. We just see things going on, and sometimes work going on, stop. And we just don't, I don't know anything. In fact, I don't know anything about Nigerian budget and the works that are going on. I don't know anything about that. The only thing we hear is that meddling, that paddling, that's just what we hear from National Assembly. Like last time we heard that National, there was paddling, budget paddling. Is it padding or what? Budget padding, yeah, something like that. But after that, we don't know anything. So they don't bring us in.
Deep in the villages and rural areas spread across the geopolitical zones of Nigeria, each with their peculiar needs and challenges, people remain in oblivion about what is actually happening in government. Most times, they only get to interact with their chosen representatives and government officials in a 4-year circle during election periods. Take Ido-Serki for instance, a remote village 30 kilometers from the city center of Abuja, the capital city of Nigeria. Electricity has been their biggest challenge for so many years. They need it for their businesses, for their daily livelihood, for pumping water, because they cannot continue to power their boreholes with generators. Talking about boreholes, for a very long time, they only had one borehole in one location, and after about 4 years, the politicians managed to put another borehole in another location. The residents feel nobody cares about their needs because nobody ever asks them what exactly their needs are. They don't even know what is captured in the government budgets that concern them and what is not. Recently, however, a ray of light has shone on the people of Ido-Serki and similarly on people in the grassroots all across the country, a beacon of hope that assures them of inclusiveness and transparency in government, a singular act that sets the stage for real progress and development. It is the signing of Nigeria into the Open Government Partnership, OGP.
For our part, Nigeria is committed to signing the Open Government Partnership initiatives alongside Prime Minister Cameroon during the summit.
The OGP was started in 2001 by 8 countries, and as the name indicates, it's essentially about open governance. Because all over the world, people have come to the realization that for government to deliver services to citizens, they need to be open. And that's why in the OGP process, there are 4 key principles underlying it: transparency, accountability, citizen participation, and technology and innovation. Nigeria, and there are procedures for becoming eligible. For you to become eligible to be a member, you must show through your laws and practices that you are serious about freedom of information, you are serious about open governance, open budgeting, and so on. So in 2014, Nigeria became an eligible country. But Nigeria applied in July 2016. June 2016, and was accepted in July 2016. and then there's a process that is to be followed. You develop a national action plan. And in August 2016, Nigeria developed national action plan after a retreat in Kaduna. And then in December 2006, the Nigerian National Action Plan, the first National Action Plan for 2 years, was approved, which is what we are implementing right now.
The Open Government Partnership, OGP, is an international multi-stakeholder initiative which aims at opening up governance at all levels and which focuses on improving transparency, accountability, citizen participation, and responsiveness to citizens through technology and innovation. It brings together on an equal scale government and civil society champions of reform who recognize that governments are more likely to be more effective and credible when governance is subjected to public input and oversight.
In 2014, that's the first time I heard about OGP. Then we started trying to work together to make sure that people come together to push the country to join the OGP. Budget was in the forefront, Centre LSD was in the forefront, all trying to convince the government to join the OGP as an institution so that everything of the government will become as simple and as open as possible, with the hope one big goal will have a government that is responsive enough to answer the plight of disenfranchised citizens so that there will be better development. In 2016, there was a very good push. In 2015, there was a very good push. Unfortunately, around 2014-2015, the then government did not take the big step of making sure it joined. It was until in 2016 when the new government came in and they took an interest into it. So they demanded, he asked the Ministry of Justice to spearhead it, and it was forwarded. Thereafter, it was signed and Nigeria created its own national action plan.
Following the formal launch of OGP in 2011, when the 8 founding governments of Brazil, Indonesia, Mexico, Norway, the Philippines, South Africa, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America endorsed the Open Government Declaration and announced their respective country action plans, few civil society organizations in Nigeria came together to think of a way to advocate for Nigeria's inclusion into the OGP.
So in 2014, Budget and about 2 other organizations came together to think of a way to advocate for Nigeria's inclusion in the Open Government Partnership. Now, the Open Government Partnership is a multinational initiative that aims to improve service delivery in countries. So they couldn't just do this as individual organizations and decided to form a body. That way there will be coordination, there will be co-creation, and that way they can engage the government easily to talk about the need for transparency reforms. So in 2014, they formed the Open Alliance. Open Alliance has been operating since 2014, and we led Nigeria's inclusion into the Open Government Partnership in 2016. This was following a lot of advocacy meetings and advocacy visits to the past administration, even including this administration.
The Open Government Partnership is an exciting initiative and it's quite ambitious. I was particularly in London when President Muhammadu Buhari made that speech during the anti-corruption summit that was put together by the then Prime Minister, David Cameron. And it was just after that speech that Mr. President went to a closed door meeting and signed Nigeria on the Open Government Partnership. And for me, it's a platform that opens up that collaboration between government, civil society, and private citizens to ensure that we can have an open forum to discuss, but not just discuss, but have an action plan where we can agree on, work towards in implementing together, and share lessons learned to ensure impact and service delivery.
Nigeria signed into the Open Government Partnership, OGP, in July of 2016 after President Muhammadu Buhari attended the International Anti-Corruption Summit organized by the government of the United Kingdom. Following the signing, a National Steering Committee was constituted with the Federal Ministry of Justice as the coordinating ministry and the Minister of Justice as co-chair. The other co-chair was nominated by the civil society organizations, since the OGP process requires 50% civil society participation.
The OGP comes with a framework which is partnership between government and civil society, and that partnership is described as equal partnership, so there's no senior partner or junior partner. The moment Nigeria decided that it wanted to join the OGP and wrote to the OGP International Steering Committee and the International Secretariat to say we want to be a member of the OGP, it meant in essence that it accepted this philosophy and principle of partnership with civil society, because government alone cannot be a member of OGP, civil society alone cannot be a member of OGP. You must come in partnership. It's sort of like a husband and wife engaging. A husband alone cannot go, a wife alone cannot go. You must be a couple to engage in the process.
The National Steering Committee is made up of representatives of government ministries, departments and agencies, as well as civil society organizations, the organized private sector, and professional associations who work together to co-create a 30-month national action plan stretching from January 2017 to June of 2019. The Nigeria OGP National Action Plan has 14 commitments cutting across 4 thematic areas of fiscal transparency, anti-corruption, access to information, and citizen engagements. Under the fiscal transparency thematic area, the following 5 commitments were made. 1. To ensure more effective citizens' participation across the entire budget cycle. 2. Full implementation of open contracting and adoption of open contracting data standards in the public sector. 3. To work together with all stakeholders to enhance transparency in the extractive sector through a concrete set of disclosures related to payments by companies and receipts by governments on all transactions across the sector's value chain. 4. To adopt common reporting standards and the ADIS tax initiative aimed at improving the fairness, transparency, efficiency, and effectiveness of the tax system. 5. To improve the ease of doing business and Nigeria's ranking on the World Bank Doing Business Index. Under the anti-corruption thematic area, the following 4 commitments were made. 1. To establish a public register of beneficial owners of companies. 2. To establish a platform for sharing information among law enforcement agencies, anti-corruption agencies, national security advisor, and financial sector regulators to detect, prevent, and disrupt corrupt practices. 3. To strengthen Nigeria's asset recovery legislation, including non-conviction-based confiscation powers and the introduction of unexplained wealth orders. 4. To take appropriate actions to coordinate anti-corruption activities, improve integrity and transparency, and accountability. Under the Access to Information thematic area, the following 2 commitments were made. 1. Improved compliance of public institutions with the Freedom of Information Act in respect of the annual reporting obligation by public institutions and level of responses to requests. 2. Improved compliance of public institutions with the Freedom of Information Act with respect to the proactive disclosure provisions and stipulating mandatory publication requirements. Under the citizen engagement thematic area, the following 3 commitments were made. 1. To develop a permanent dialogue mechanism on transparency, accountability, and good governance between citizens and government to facilitate a culture of openness. 2. For government and civil society to jointly review existing legislations on transparency and accountability issues and make recommendations to the National Assembly. And 3, to adopt a technology-based citizens' feedback on projects and programs across transparency and accountability.
Open government partnership, as it's said, it means transparency and accountability in government. It means that government, particularly the government of Nigeria, is ready to open up whatever sector we're working in. It means that the government of Nigeria is ready to work with citizens. It means that Nigerian government is also accountable to the people of Nigeria. That's really what it means. Within the framework of what we are working on today, we have committed to a set of actions that is supposed to help, define our transparency and accountability measures. One of which is around anti-corruption, ensuring that we actually respect the frameworks and the laws and policies that we put in place on anti-corruption, our anti-corruption laws, our transparent management of recovered assets. It also speaks to open budgeting and our open procurement systems. Something that we've started working on is to make sure that citizens can access budgets online. If you visit the Ministry of Budget and National Planning today, you will see everything related to Nigerian budget and what Nigerian government intends to expend on. If you go to the Bureau for Public Procurement, there's already a national open contracting platform that is being developed that will ensure that citizens can track where money is going to. So anytime we release certificates of no objection on procurement, Nigerian citizens can see who is implementing the project and whether that project is completed or not, and Nigerian citizens can track them. The other element that we're fully engaged on is on access to information, improving citizens' ability to access information. So with our Freedom of Information Act, we're opening up spaces where citizens can gradually access government information. And our view is that we want to have proactive information access. We want to make sure that we don't just wait for citizens to ask questions. We want to have citizens access those information using technology, different technology platforms. And I believe this is one of the ways that citizens can access information through the type of documentaries that civil society organizations are developing, and that citizens can, you can come into my office anytime and ask me any question and I'll make it available to you. And finally, it speaks to citizen engagement as well. And African Center for Leadership Development is doing a very good work, working with the National Orientation Agency to track at the local level what is happening.
OGP! Great Nigerian people! Great Nigerian people! Great Nigerian people! We all know that Nigeria is blessed. He's blessed with human resources. He's blessed with mineral resources. He's blessed with good climate. He's blessed with good land. But we know that over the years, the resources of the country have not been spent in a way that will bring services to citizens. And that is why we must commend the President Muhammadu Buhari administration for taking Nigeria into the OGP. Because OGP means that both government and citizens will plan together, will make policies, will monitor the budget to ensure that the plans, policies and budget will deliver services to citizens. And since Nigeria joined OGP, we've started seeing the results. Now, the budget is on the website. You can know the federal government budget, and if anything is budgeted to happen in your village, you can monitor it by going to the citizens portal. The government has also improved procurement. We know that it's through procurement that most of the monies are stolen. But the Bureau for Public Procurement has launched the Nokopo website that every item on the budget, when it's given out, who is giving out to, the amount of money every citizen in Nigeria can go and monitor. OGP means transparency. OGP means accountability. OGP means citizen participation. OGP means technology.
My name is Garba Abari. I'm the Director General of the National Orientation Agency. We are here on a walk, an advocacy and sensitization walk to sensitize citizens and inform them about the benefits of the open government partnership, about the fact that there is a new Nigeria that is emerging, a Nigeria where openness is being entrenched, transparency in the conduct of government business is being entrenched, the use of technology the use of technology for purposes of development and the national planning not been entrenched. So by and large, this is the purpose of my coming here this morning.
An effective implementation of the 14 commitments in the National Action Plan is capable of producing truly transformative results, which will ultimately lead to better lives for citizens. Fiscal transparency is essential to the fight against corruption, which will improve the management of public resources to provide essential services and increase citizens' participation in the budgeting process.
Good governance in itself forbids a situation where there is money, but the money is not used for the welfare of citizens. So the OGP is out to promote that, ensuring that what the Constitution says about the responsibility of government in terms of the welfare and security of citizens are guaranteed under this OGP process. And we are happy that we are engaging in the process.
There was a school that the community members rejected the project because the contractor used the substandard material, just because the government was open to providing us with information, and we empowered the community with that information. And then this community said, well, this does not meet the standard as provided by Follow the Money. So they rejected it, and then this contractor got prosecuted. So again, it tells you that it allows for value for taxpayers' money, it allows for value for intervention, and particularly it allows for communities to take ownership and actually say, governance is about us, not about the politicians.
A lot happens in the dark in government. For instance, even to the detriment of the same government. I'll give you an instance. If the ESCO of any state, not just limited to Enugu state, approves 1,000 naira to do a project in a community, the same government will go home and drink champagne, believing that they have impacted the lives of that community. Then the person who is going to that community to work will use a shady material that will fade in a short while. The moment that project fails, the respect that the people, community people will have for the same government will begin to drop. But from the first, the government had a very good intention to impact the lives of the people. So part of what the OGP is going to do is that every investment that government does impacts the life of the people and counts.
If someone wants to steal money that is meant for hospital, and if you grant it because of the mechanism in place, there are certain things now, if you put camera here, even if you are not around, it will be difficult for someone to come and steal from this office, because you know that the camera might record him, and you will know that this is the person that steals that money. And that is the essence of OGP. The OGP is just a control mechanism. We are working hand in hand with the citizen group, because we are doing everything open so that people will know what is happening, and it will serve as a guide. Because even if you have a criminal mind, you will believe that somebody is looking at me, and it will be difficult for you to do something that will at least expose you to the question, or rather to public ridicule.
The open government partnership opens the way to fight against corruption. That opens the way for citizens' ownership, because citizens can ask questions, citizens can interrogate, citizens can hold to account people into whose hands public resources are being put to manage.
Over time, corruption has thrived in Nigeria because there is that secrecy in government, but not just government, even the private sector. And over time, Nigeria's resources has found her way to the US through illicit flow of funds to the United Kingdom and other colonies that have been controlled by United Kingdom. And the open government partnership helps to open up some of this illicit flow of funds, not just in Nigeria, but the world at large, where we can now start having record of ownership abroad, and then we know who owns what, how, and when, so that some of these corrupt politicians would be prosecuted.
The strength that I see in the OGP, apart from the fact that it's an international framework, it's also the buy-in that you have in terms of the countries that are involved in it, and the potential value that could add to local effort to tackle corruption. It's a partnership, and being a partnership means that it's not just, it recognizes the strategic role that countries can play in their fight against corruption. But the fact that a lot of the corruption charges, a lot of the accountability challenges are trans-border. And so you are able to get actors from in-country to begin to collaborate with actors outside the country, okay, to push the fight against corruption, to push the fight for transparency, to push the fight for accountability. I think there might be increased impact, and that for me is one of the reasons why I think OGP is an important program.
Commitments under the Access to Information thematic area will promote increased disclosure about government's activities at every level. Enforcement of Freedom of Information Act will see government systematically collect and publish data on its activities, spending, and performance for essential public services and activities, and ensure that such high-value information are proactively provided to citizens in a timely manner and in formats that can easily be located, understood, used, and reused. Similarly, opportunities abound for developing accessible and secure online spaces as platforms for delivering services, engaging the public, and sharing information and ideas using new technologies.
Government has worked in isolation. They've assumed from Abuja that the basic needs of rural communities in far places like Zamfara, Imo, Enugu, far distant places from this Abuja, they've assumed that they know it all and that they know the basic need of the people, right? But the OGP wants to change that. The OGP wants that before you decide that a community's need is borehole, have you asked them? They probably live right next to a stream, and without consulting them, you might decide that right next to the borehole, you want right next to the stream where they are, that water is their basic need. Water can't be their basic need. It might be education, it might be primary health care that they need. But with OGP, we expect that there will be more consultation in terms of government policies. And this is not just only with rural people. Government sometimes make policies they assume will improve business environment, right? But for small businesses or for actual business owners, they actually know that that policy will only compound their problem. But through consultative process that the OGP offers, it allows that interaction, that review of policies before they become actionable issues for government.
In the times past, budget, government will just sit down and do a budget and say, this is your budget, and start spending. They will not say, okay, committee A, we'll give you roads. Maybe they don't need the roads. Maybe they need health center. Maybe they need pipe-borne water. So participatory budgeting is what OGP is promoting. Open budgeting from the scratch. Let the citizens be involved in the process. Let them make input. Because if you make input, if you hold the stake, you make a stakeholder. You cannot be a stakeholder if you don't hold the stake. So if they have a stake in the budget that they know, okay, for my community, I said we want a water. Okay, they say we have 10 million. We say we want that 10 million, we want water. You'll be interested to know how that 10 million is spent, who is going to, and how long you need to wait to start enjoying it.
Gives the people opportunity to say specifically
this is what we desire at this point in time. Because gone are the days when the government will just go and cite projects in a place. You might cite a project and the people are not interested. But with the OGP, it creates an opportunity for government not just to work alone, to work with the people, to interface with them at every point in time.
OGP has come that your involvement in governance process might be institutionalized. A government is not doing you a favor by getting you involved. You are supposed, it's your fundamental human right to be part of governance. So OGP has come to shed more light on your involvement in governance and the benefits such involvement is going to give to you as a citizen.
One thing OGP does, which is also peculiar and different, is asking you, what are you doing to make it better? You can the era of just crossing your leg and crossing your hands and sitting in the ship that is being navigated without you knowing what you're supposed to contribute to take that ship to the destination is slowly vanishing. So what are you doing to change the situation in your society? Is it every day a government have to come to a place? Yes. But what happened if the government didn't come? Are you supposed to sit down and linger in difficulty? What are you doing as a community to make it better? Have you ever written to any member of your House of Assembly asking him questions? This is a question most of us don't do. Have you ever even interacted with even a councillor from our zone? He may tell us he doesn't have money. It's true. But did we take a bold step to discuss with him? He may be the window that we may need to discuss with our member at the State Assembly, or our member at the National Assembly, or even our senator at the end, or even to the president or the governor. Now, these are the different things OGP is bringing to the table.
Consequently, the success of the OGP will largely depend on the extent to which the ordinary citizens benefit from a more transparent, participatory, responsive, and accountable government. This requires a greater focus towards domesticating OGP principles at the state level and engaging the citizens at the local level.
I want to direct my question to the national coordinator of OGP. All these efforts and the campaign on the process, I wish to find out what are the plans to get the message to all the states of the Federation. For instance, in Osun, we have close to 500 registered members of NUJ. How are we going to be able to also make sure that all these people are aware of what we are discussing here? The recent global summit of the OGP, this was one of the topics that featured quite prominently. And I think that one thing that came out of that meeting is the realization that the jump from national level implementation to concrete evidence of improvement in service delivery would necessarily require bringing on board the states. And so, this is one of the reasons I'm so excited that a lot more states. Kaduna has joined, and I think my last count, we now have about 8 states that have joined. Kaduna has joined, Enugu is on board, Abia is on board, Anambra is on board, Kano is on board, and several, and a few other states. I think that the more we are able to localize OGP at the states level, and the more we are able to get community-based organizations to become more involved, the more we are able to get community-based associations and other platforms for the general masses who are mostly in the rural places. As much as we are able to get them on board and involved and asking questions and pushing the bar on transparency and pushing the bar on accountability, I think progressively we'll begin to see incremental benefits of OGP, both in terms of better implementation of the budget, reduction in leakages, improvement in service delivery, and ultimately also improvement in the mechanisms for holding service providers to account.
Even though states are not necessarily under any obligation to sign into the open government principles, it is highly recommended for states that are focused on improving transparency, accountability, and participation of citizens in government processes and activities. Currently, 9 states in Nigeria have joined the OGP. These are Enugu, Ebonyi, Anambra, Kaduna, Kano, Niger, Jigawa, Abia, and Edo states. Joining the OGP accrues enormous benefits to the member states and its citizens, especially with regards to accessing funding and support from development partners who believe that funding and support they provide have a high chance of being utilized appropriately in OGP states.
OGP principle come on board when the President Muhammad Buhari signed OGP and Nigeria became one of the OGP countries, and state government are enjoined to follow suit because we are operating federal system of government, and by virtue of the government in place, the system in place, we have state government, we have federal government, we have local government. So the state government are virtually a regional government that work side by side with all the institutions put in place. We have state judiciary, just like we have federal judiciary at the center, we have state executive, we have state legislature, and there are certain laws and regulations whereby states are exclusive to make that, just like the same way the federal government are exclusive to make certain laws. So that is why the need for state to join OGP is very, very necessary. In fact, it's must if OGP must succeed in Nigeria.
All states should belong and sign on to OGP. It is the next best thing that could happen to transparency, to accountability, to citizen participation. It is the next best thing. I haven't seen anything as good as it's an Eldorado, if you ask me. So states that have not signed it to should, and you see, there are no barricades. There are no barricades. Openness is there for you, everybody to benefit. Benefit in development. That is the end. The end of everything we do is sustainable development. So when you have it, it's just like the Solomonian wisdom. When you have it, every other thing is added onto you. OGP is what you have, like the wisdom of Solomon. Every other thing will be added onto you. Good governance is added, prosperity is added, sustainable development is added. You know, the economic prosperity is added. And I tell you something, there is nothing that actually, emboldens one than that I have a say in who and how I'm governed. There is nothing that emboldens anyone. Once you are into OGP, you have a right to know, access to information. And the issue there is that it's not by any prodding, it's not by any intimidation. It's something that you have willfully and willingly accepted to do. And that is the beauty of it, that the government is saying, it's not a civil society, we know go greeting. We are pushing them, we have accepted it. The people have a right to know. Government belongs to the people. So I believe for us, OGP is Christmas.
The African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development, Centre LSD, through its project Promoting Accountability in Nigeria through engagement and implementation of the Open Government Partnership, OGP, has been playing a pivotal role in motivating, mobilizing, and engaging the citizenry at various subnational levels on open government partnership in Nigeria and advocating for states to join the OGP. In achieving this, several sensitization workshops and rallies have been organized by the Centre LSD.
The African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development, Centre LSD, is the co-chair of the Citizens Working Group. In the National Action Plan, there are 14 commitments and around 4 key areas: fiscal, transparency, access to information, anti-corruption, and citizen engagement. In citizen engagement, there are 3 commitments. Commitment 12 about permanent dialogue mechanism. Commitment 13 about producing laws that will enhance transparency and accountability in Nigeria, and commitment 14, which is about having technology platform that will promote openness. So the Centre LSD has been working very closely with the National Orientation Agency, NOA, on commitment 12. I've been working very closely with Ministry of Justice on commitment 13, and with NEPA on commitment 14. And we are happy to note the support that has been given to us by MacArthur Foundation to promote the implementation of open government partnership in Nigeria. And we have also worked very closely with partnership to engage Reform and Learn PER in order to push OGP in Nigeria.
We have been doing quite a lot. First, we did a review of laws on the OGP, because the OGP process, it has to be supported by legislation. And we are glad that we reviewed all the anti-corruption laws in Nigeria. And today, we are happy that if you are talking about laws that are supporting OGP in Nigeria, there are basic laws to point to. Besides that, Centre LSD has also been supporting the Open Alliance. Open Alliance is the civil society arm of the OGP, because the OGP, by its conceptualization, is a co-creation between government and civil society. And so there is an arm of the OGP, that is Open Alliance, that is dominated solely by civil society people. And all along, we have been supporting them in all their activities. The first major support that we gave to them was the training of all the members of the Open Alliance to understand what the OGP is all about. Because if you don't understand the purpose of a thing, abuse is inevitable. So we trained them. We were there for 2 days training, and there were clear revelations as to how the OGP process can be domesticated and applied in our context. And what Centre LSD is doing on the side of government, especially government at the subnational level, is meeting them to advocate to them, to sell the idea of the OGP to them. The idea of the OGP therefore means, because government exists at the subnational level, civil society people also exist at the subnational level, is to say, come, let's reason together. And by the time civil society and government are reasoning together, you'll be sure that all of these grievances that we are saying will no longer exist. And that is the clarion call that we are making. So what we are doing essentially is to speak to the consciousness of government by way of advocacy, for them to accept this and domesticate it at their respective state levels, particularly to the governors. And we are happy that there are a lot of states now that are buying in. So the number of states that are signing into the OGP, they are increasing on a daily basis. And courtesy to Centre LSD, who has been doing the yeoman's job.
In striving to create a Nigeria that works for every Nigerian, the Open Government Partnership must succeed, and its success depends largely on the citizens. This implies the need to raise the bar with regards to their charter of demand on their respective subnational governments.
The fact remains that the best features that make up governance are: 1, transparency, accountability, and the likes, participation. And so the only way to ensure that the government of the day becomes accountable to these people is by asking them the right questions. We recognize that there are limitations here and there, but we still believe that the only way to achieve governance in the real sense of the word is to get them. Get the citizens to participate, get the government to be accountable, and get them to be transparent. And so while we are working with the government on one hand to see the need to be more accountable and transparent, we have to work with the citizens on the other hand to see reasons to ask questions. asking questions, keep engaging.
So citizens can leverage on OGP by taking their proper place at the table. In fact, OGP is revolutionary. Because for the first time, government is going to the table, not just with a token representation of civil society, but equal representation for both civil society and government. That is revolutionary. And not in a situation where you have government as chair and others are just mere members. You have two co-chairs, one for government, one for civil society. We need to really deepen it, consolidate it, institutionalize it, and make sure that any governance process in Nigeria follows the OGP pattern.